Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and you guys know my co-host with the most is Omari Salisbury. What's up, Omari? How are you?
Trey Holiday, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm chipper this morning. How are you, my friend?
Chipper this morning, man. I'm rushing. I was just on this presser that the mayor just had officially signed over. The mayor placed her signature on the ordinance signing over the Central Area Senior Center to community, and also a 99-year lease to the Africatown Community Land Trust for the William Gross Center for Cultural Innovation. So sat in there on the press conference, got to ask a few questions. We didn't get a time to rack it up for the show today, but maybe we'll air it tomorrow. You're part of Africatown Community Land Trust. What are your feelings? The signature, the ink is dry.
Yeah, you know what? This is, again, such a long push from the community and for so many people who've been supporting Africatown Community Land Trust and literally pushing for this underutilized property to really come into community so that we can create pathways for our young people to begin to participate in this tech boom that Seattle is still experiencing to this day, and that's caused so much gentrification and disaster in our community. So this is a light. Definitely that's going to be shining right there on 23rd. And yes, we're so excited that the ink is now on the paper and drying as we speak of.
All right. I asked the mayor a few questions. I asked the mayor how much money altogether has her administration, steered towards the Black community in Seattle. Didn't necessarily have an exact figure on during the press conference, but we're going to follow up with Kamaria Hightower and the people over in the mayor's office because I think community is interested to know that. And also, we went on a rant yesterday, but one of the things that I said yesterday is that local politicians for decades, they always find the resources to treat the symptoms, but never the courage to cure the disease. And asked Mayor Durkan about some of the policy changes she'd like to see. Because, you can put money at things, but it's systemic. There's some of the systemic things, some of the systemic laws and exclusions that most impact our neighborhood and our communities that most likely need to be addressed. Trey, I'm looking in the green room back there, man, and we've got somebody, we got a chief. We got a chief back there. Chief, can you hear us? All right, Chief's back there. Let's bring Chief Scoggins.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chief Scoggins, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of new viewers since you used to be with us all the time, Chief. This is Seattle Fire Chief Harold Scoggins. Welcome to the Morning Update Show, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure and honor to be here with you this morning.
You know, we made sure to start on time. That's why, like our show, we had to get it in right on time because Chief really puts out fires for a living. So we can't hold. We got to be punctual on it. Chief brought you on this morning to talk about Health One. I was actually on Twitter the other day, as I do these days, and I saw that Health One celebrated a 1-year anniversary. And right now, especially in our city and cities across America, where people talk about a non-911 response to people who are in crisis that doesn't necessarily require an officer and a gun, Health One is definitely high on the radar here in the city. Can you tell us a little bit about Health One, what it's all about?
Sure, absolutely. So Health One is a part of our mobile integrated health program that we've been slowly building for the last several years. And so there's a couple different components to it. We have our vulnerable adults program. So when our firefighters go to a 911 medical emergency, they see a person in need, then they can come back to the station, fill out information, and then we'll do a follow-up. So that's our vulnerable adults program and getting them help. We also have case managers here in the fire department, and they're looking at our high utilizer individuals in our high utilizing facilities, places that we go over and over, or people that we see over and over. So that's another component. And Health One is the third component of our mobile integrated health program. We respond to many emergencies each and every day. But in the past, we really only had one solution, and that was to really take someone to the emergency room so they can get treated. But what we know is everyone really doesn't need to go to the emergency room. Some people, they may need a medical appointment. We can help with that. Some persons may need case management. We can help with that. Some people may need a ride to the shelter or a warm blanket, or they may be in crisis. We can help with all of those things. Our team is staffed with 2 firefighters and the case manager, and it's not that rapid turnover response that we're looking for. We want to spend the time, understand the person, build the trust, and get them to where they need to be. So that's the goal.
Right. And so we had Council Member Mosqueda on the show a few weeks ago and talked about Health One. And I played a clip. I actually saw, I watch the Seattle channel now. I used to watch ESPN, but now I watch the Seattle channel. And I saw the council member talking about an experience that she had with Health One. Let me play this clip.
Many folks know, as we talked this summer about the need to have the opportunity to dial something other than 911 when we see people in distress. I mentioned the case of an individual just around the corner from my house who appeared to be sleeping. He had his pants off and he needed help. Almost the exact same call that we responded to today on the Health One ride along. An individual in distress, disoriented, along the pier who needed help. And he sought out some bystander to call to get him help. And it was the Health One van who called. They brought him pants, they brought him socks, they got his daughter on the phone, and really did a warm handoff to the King County team who was getting him into shelter.
Let me throw this over to, first, let me put us all back on the screen. Let me throw this over to Trey Holiday, because Trey isn't some, when we talked about this with Councilmember Moscata, and we talked about some of these things community doing and Health One doing, and the council member didn't say it was either or, it was kind of both, right?
Yeah, it really is a both and approach. And so I love having Chief Scoggins on this morning so that we can hear, the real details of how this operation works on from that end, because I think the community really has an opportunity here to really understand how to build these teams. I mean, we were just on a peace and safety initiative call last night, really finding how do we ensure that people who are in our apartment buildings right in the central district, let's start with a microcosm and let's see how we can make sure that they feel safe, right? Maybe it just starts with some community patrol. So I think there's a lot of great overlap here when you talk about a multi-pronged approach.
Chief, a few questions here is one, I'm assuming that the staff of Health One aren't people who just got assigned. These are people who want to be in dealing with these particular types of citizens that are in distress. I mean, coming from the fire department, you assume most people want to fight fires and things like that. You've got 2 firefighters and a social worker. How did you determine the staff for Health One?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're blessed here in the fire department to have people who really love what they do. And at the heart of what we do is serving others, and we do it in many different capacities. When we decided to launch this program, we asked for volunteers from the rank and file who respond to these emergencies each and every day on engines and ladder trucks. They knew that this would be different. They would receive a variety of different training modules to help prepare them a little bit better, but all of them wanted to be there, and it's been really well received by the department. And our case manager, we have several of them now, and it's interesting because 5 years ago when I got here, we didn't have any, and now we have several, and we're looking to have more because we know the 911 response to go and serve a person who's in crisis is very different than the person who's having a heart attack or a stroke or been in a vehicle accident. So we needed to create that different skill set so we can get people to where they needed to be.
Right. And now, Chief, people are talking budgets and some everything else. It's that time of year right now. A city of 700,000 people. I think there were 17,000 mental health calls that 911 fielded last year. You say that currently you have 2 firefighters and 1 social worker. You say you got a few more social workers. What's your vision of Health One here in the city, and what's it going to take to achieve that vision for you to be able to provide more services for people that are in mental health crisis?
The ultimate vision for the program would be to have a Health One unit in each of our battalions around the city. So around the city, if you can imagine, we're broken up into 5 different areas that we call battalions. If you look at the northern part of Seattle, Interstate 5 basically divides the city in 2. Then you have the center of the city, that's another battalion. And then the southern part of the city from the Rainier Valley to West Seattle, those are 2 separate battalions. So we would love to have a Health One unit serving each battalion. But if there was a need and we had 5 units on a day, they can actually serve different parts of the city wherever the highest need was, and that's the beauty of a system like this.
Right. Any other questions for Chief Triana?
You brought up some really great points this morning, and I just want to ask Chief, in terms of the types of, you talked about relationship building a bit here and really taking on a different approach. And I just want the audience to hear a little bit more about how different that is and how you're actually building those relationships with the people that your teams are serving.
Absolutely. We have a number of different stories, but one of the stories that the team shared with me was a call that they recently responded to for a person in crisis. Now, that can go a number of different ways, but when our team arrives on scene, the first thing they try to do is to establish trust with the individual, as long as it takes. Sometimes it could take a half hour, and sometimes it can take 2 hours. And then really, once you establish the trust, you can start to lay out the different options and understand what the person needs. This person actually needed some help, and she needed some crisis management. And we were able to, after a couple hours, to get that person to where they needed to be because we built trust. So that's important. If it's a person in their home, if it's a person on the street, it could be delivering a blanket, a pair of socks, a pair of pants. We carry all those things with us because you never know what someone will need. The calls come in a few different ways. We have certain dispatch protocols where our dispatch center will send Health One directly to a unit. It could come in another way. A fire company could be on another response, and they may identify that this really isn't a 911 emergency, but the person is still in need. So that fire company on scene will call Health One on the cell phone and say, hey, we need you to come over to this location, and we need to do a handoff with this person because you can help them. Or it can come in terms of a follow-up. We have what we call high utilizer individuals, and many times they stay in the system because we respond, we take them somewhere, they go back home, they call 911 again, we respond, we take them, and that system just goes over and over. Health One actually does follow-up. They'll go out to a high utilizer's home a day or 2 later and just check in. Hey, do you have the food you need? Do you have your medications? Hey, did you get that doctor's appointment? They actually do follow-up calls to make sure people have what they need. So those are 3 different paths that we get into a person into the system. We have 1 unit right now, and if we can expand that, that would be great.
All right, Chief. I know you're a very busy guy down there at Seattle Fire Department. Before I let you go, though, I haven't seen you, and I guess we're not face to face, but I haven't seen you face to face in months since we were on Capitol Hill. And, I used to see Chief Scoggins every single day. And I'll tell you this, Chief, and I'll tell everybody in our viewing audience. I mean, we talk almost every day over there. And, it's a lot of stuff I don't necessarily agree with Chief Scoggins on. Some stuff he didn't agree with me on. But I can tell you this, sir, is that you're a very honorable man. And, it's always been a pleasure to talk to you. And you're very welcome back here on the Morning Update Show anytime.
I appreciate that. And I want to thank you both for your service to the community. You're getting the message out that needs to get out. And I know I got people all around the country who have dialed in to Converge Media to check out Omari and see what's going on. I saw you this weekend climbing up that hill when you were talking about that on Friday. And I hope you have a blessed holiday season.
All right. Chief, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good day.
All right. Take care.
Man, Chief Scoggins. It's always a pleasure to talk to Chief Scoggins.
Honestly, I love how you were able to showcase, the truth of Chief Scoggins, because a lot of people really weren't, hip. I think that you were like, hey, look, he's been out here every day, man. He's talking to both sides. He's trying to build bridges. I mean, he's out here, he's leading the charge. And I think a lot of people that weren't on the ground were able to realize that, hey, that, here we have this, Black man in this position of power that's holding it down. So it was great to hear a lot about that program and hear how they're doing and building relationships.
Let me tell you, I mean, people always interview me about, the CHOP and protests and stuff like that. And, and it's always these big, big stories people know about. But I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of people and a lot of city employees, that you would never expect, like I said, Chief Scoggins was out there every single day. Mommy Hart, Seattle Public Utilities, Adris, all these guys, man, they walk that neighborhood every single day. And so, definitely always good to talk to Chief Scoggins. We're going to follow up with him. We're going to follow up with Health One, and also be interesting to see what kind of partnerships Health One can develop with community organizations that seek to be able to respond to people that are in mental crisis. Maybe there's some kind of training that Health One can do with community members. Trey Holiday, full show. We've got the Trufants that are going to be joining us here in a little bit, the bottom of the hour. Marcus and Jessica Trufant are coming on to talk about their new podcast, Truly Unruly. But before we get to that, it looks like the city council and the mayor might be making up. The city council put out their balanced budget. And as far as it goes with the mayor and that $100 million. So check this out. Basically what they're saying, that what the city council is doing is chopping $70 million out of the mayor's $100 million. And I'll put this back up on the screen. And they're putting $10.4 million goes to the city's emergency reserve fund. $30 million restores the funding for the strategic investment fund. That was the Mercer block that was sold. $18 million transfers over to the council's participatory budgeting effort, with another $12 million to make $30 million. $10 million to fund community-based safety program investments. One more again, as they say. Let's see, $1.5 million for alternatives to criminal legal systems, $550,000 for restorative justice. And so basically the city council took the $100 million and they did a remix on it and told Mayor Durkan, like, you're going to keep 30. And there's a provision on that 30 million out of the 100 that the mayor proposed. And that provision is that the mayor's task force and the participatory budgeting committee both have to align before that 30 million can be spent. The rest of the 70 million looks like the city council is spreading it out across different organizations outside of replenishing the fund. And the mayor put out a release last night, and it was kind of like, well, hey, if this is what you guys want to do, I'm kind of okay with it.
Well, we don't see a lot of this kind of alignment often. So I know that, folks out there in the ethos are probably chattering all about this. As you said the other day, it's so important that we really stay focused on the local issues at hand. I mean, this is why so many efforts are still pressing forward. And I think that, hey, anywhere that we can find alignment, it needs to happen, because real solutions need to start taking place and taking real root.
Right. And so, we'll see. I was talking to Kevin Schofield earlier, sccinsight.com, and you can go. He wrote a piece up there, sccinsight.com, that kind of breaks down the budget and the balancing of the budget presented by City Council. And I mean, part of this, it looks like almost 60 million, 30 million that the mayor proposed from the original 100 million, and another 30 million that restores the funding of the strategic investment fund. So 60 million out there. And when you talk about 30 million for participatory budgeting.
Yeah.
Is this, I mean, I'm looking at this. This sounds like something. I mean, that you're part of King County Equity now, and there's coalitions. I mean, are you happy with this news that you're seeing here?
Well, you know what, to be honest, though, I'll tell you, my initial reaction is going to be like, yes, there is recognition for the work and the effort and the voice of the people. To me, that is really important. And I like the sense of this type of collaborative oversight in terms of, hey, the community and the people, they were saying participatory budget only. The mayor wanted to do a task force. And now the city council is saying, hey, a way to bridge that gap, maybe that, hey, we have to find alignment before money is dispersed. I think that, again, we have to find ways to build bridges here and not continue to pound the pavement saying, everything is wrong. I'm excited when I see that any way that we can begin to move forward. So our people are finding solutions, our people are getting that investment. That's what I care the most about.
All right, so it looks like that the mayor kind of, and it was a kind of lengthy release, but the mayor sounds like she agrees for the most part with this $100 million very well might move out across community. And the mayor challenged the city council. She said, hey, there's more bread out there. Put more money into the Black community. We'll see what happens there. But also, I think that we see a thawing of relationships between the city council and the mayor's office. You got to remember, the mayor's up for re-election. We've also got 2 other council members that are up for citywide election that's coming up. But one thing that was interesting as well is that the city council, I think what happened is a compromise in that the city council got to chop up the 100 million, but the mayor basically got to keep the cuts that she wanted around defund the police. So you don't really see that many cuts around the defunding the police department. There was a few add-ons from the city council. So maybe that's the mayor's win, and the city council's win is they're now taking this $100 million that the mayor proposed, and they're going to remix it and spend it the way they want to.
Well, again, this is what I'm talking about. I think you're going to hear so many different viewpoints on this. I mean, I know lots of folks in the community will say, no matter what, we want to continue to press for this defund effort. That is very true in the hearts and minds of so many out there. I understand that effort. And honestly, I think that, any way, again, that we could start to see, like you said, I mean, my thing, I'll say this too, is that we've seen this also, that there's these ebb and flows because, again, it follows these election processes. And I want people to really dig down deep and just try to be the best version of themselves, right? All the time, not be doing anything with regard to, hey, maybe let me make sure I look good again because of votes. I think it's important that there is a real follow through line that covers, your character and what guides you. And so it'd be interesting to see that play through without any of that kind of effort happening on the outside.
Well, these guys are all politicians, so they're always going to pander for votes one way or another. Man, it's great. I could see that Marcus and Jessica Trufant are back there in the green room taking selfies. We're going to be having them on here in a few minutes. They look good, too. That's one thing about the Trufants. Man, when you just talk about Black love, goodness gracious, it just radiates around them. We're going to be bringing them up here in a few minutes. Want to get through some of this research, Trey Holiday. It looks like EMC, they put out they did some polling here. And it says the majority, Seattle voters, or majority, are unhappy about the direction of the city and strongly dissatisfied with the performance of the city council on critical issues. Here's one thing I wanted to bring up. This was a big deal here when I looked at this. It says that the top issues for people in Seattle was homelessness, then affordable housing, then police brutality is all the way down here at 19%. Homelessness is at 45%. Inequality and social justice and Black Lives Matter is at 10%. So I bring this up. There was all this information here. We'll put a link up. I'll put a link up here. But this was districts 1, 2, 6, and 7. Didn't include D3, our district. But importantly, it didn't include D3. And this tells you that, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people in our community think that social justice is on the top of people's heads here in Seattle. Let's take a look again. Homelessness at 45%. Police brutality at 19%. Inequality, social justice, and Black Lives Matter. Well, 10% of all respondents on this poll said that that was something that, you know, they considered a priority. Trey Holiday is part of Africatown Community Land Trust and King County Equity Now. When you look at these poll numbers here and see that a lot of the issues that you guys are concerned about, maybe a lot of Seattleites are not. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a both and, honestly. I mean, when you talk about homelessness as the #1 issue, I work for Africatown Community Land Trust. It is our #1 issue, right? Our #1 issue is affordable housing. We see that as the #2 issue right there, in tie with the #3 issue. So I think that it does say a lot. I think it also does say a lot about the demographics of the numbers that were polled. What is so stark is that homelessness is real. It's alive and well in our city.
The whole city.
You cannot deny it, no matter what district you live in. You're really affected by it. And I think that's what these numbers really reflect. I don't necessarily see it as, hey, they're not prioritizing Black Lives Matter issues. What I do see is that it's not very far down the list. I see that it's there. And I do think that it is prevalent to note. Again, D3 not being polled here is a high reason why you're not seeing numbers there. But I do think it would be great to understand what the data would show. I would love to be able to see 2 graphs, right? So that the data can show how so many that are really living in the district, what they really care about as well. Because a lot of that activity is happening right there in D3.
Right. Now, D2 is in there, and I believe D2 is South Seattle. I think that's Morales in South Seattle. But it also says something by not including D3, where we assume that that would definitely skew some of this. This actually tells you, though, this polling, what is Magnolia thinking? What is West Seattle thinking? What is Northgate thinking? What is Lake City thinking? And so by not putting it in D3, we got a pretty clear view here of what other districts in the city are thinking. Let's move along on this poll here. There's something else that was very interesting on this survey is 61% said they do not trust the city council to make significant cuts to the Seattle Police Department in a way that will address systemic racism while keeping our neighborhoods in downtown Seattle safe. And this includes a strong majority of white voters and voters of color. So basically, white people and people of color, neither of them really trust the city council to get it done in a way that's going to keep the city safe and deliver, and impact or disrupt systemic racism.
Well, again, I think these numbers are stark. I think what we have to do is build that trust. And also, too, a part of, so much of my drive is getting folks to understand so much that they don't right now. I think that's really what these numbers indicate for me. There's a lot of education that folks just need to have access to. We need to be able to push it out there in folks' minds so that they understand what the process looks like, how the city council can work in a participatory budgeting process to build this community trust that allows many, many people within the community to participate in them as well. I think that it's a part of this kind of idea that it involves a lot of people being involved in the process, in particular with how money is spent in their district. And I think that looking at this from that perspective and allowing folks to understand a lot of the nuances that right now they just don't owe, I think that that's really what that says to me.
All right, we got another one right here. Nearly 2/3 of likely voters, 64%, are dissatisfied with the job council is doing, addressing the critical issues facing Seattle. And 4 in 10 are very dissatisfied. My friend, it looks like people, but we've known this for a while, that people aren't really happy with the city council. They're not really happy how the city council has been moving. And I mean, maybe this thawing, this kiss and make up period that we're seeing right now between the city council and the mayor is indicative of what people are just sick and tired of City Hall, to be honest with you.
Well, it's been a lot of back and forth on folks, and inevitably that pressure, that feeling all of that kind of really falls on the people because they're watching all of this unfold, over time. I think that a lot of it too is when you have a lot of folks in Seattle that are not really dealing with a bunch of these disparate issues that are right before them and the things that they're being told on. It's almost as if it's issues that are outside of them. And so I see a lot of that too. And what we've been seeing with the city council is that they've been really trying to address these issues in disparate communities and these communities of opportunity, right? And so a lot of this voice may not actually cover those areas.
Right. Well, like I said, 45% homelessness, 10% inequality, social justice, Black Lives Matter. And one thing that I could say for sure is homelessness, we can all see with our eyes. Sometimes inequality is invisible. We're going to take a short break right now. And man, when we come back, I swear, we've got the best dressed couple on TV back there in the green room. And man, they looking good, swagged out, some everything else. We got the Trufants, Marcus and Jessica, joining us right here on the Morning Update Show.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بلشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
You hear that bass? Hey, just a reminder, a great way to support us here at Converge Media, man. You can pick up some gear. You know what I'm saying? Rock it and represent where we converge /shop. Trey, I hope you're ready. I mean, when these guys are around, I don't know if you drank your coffee this morning or not, but either way, you don't even need no coffee because the Trufants, man, they just bring a whole lot of energy. Let's put, there they are.
Hello. Hey,
all right. So we're welcoming Marcus and Jessica Trufant to the Morning Update Show. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Doing well.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, man. So I got a lot to talk to you guys about. It was crazy because I was on Instagram, as I usually do, and I seen this clip, and I was like, "Whoa, who is this?" And when we see you guys going back and forth, and I hit my man Kel. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yo, this is real. This is truly unruly. And I looked at it. I was like, man, this is such an authentic representation of Black love. And I just got enamored with the whole podcast from jump. Maybe you guys can tell us, how did you, and we'll play a clip here in a second for the audience. How did you guys decide that you wanted to come up with a podcast that gives so much insight about your life?
Well, we're pretty much an open book, right? And so I'm always on Instagram stories and posting our family and what we're doing and what Marcus and I are doing. And everybody's like, you need to be doing a podcast. You need to have a reality show because you guys are the real deal and you're a little bit crazy. And so that's kind of how we came up with starting a podcast.
Yeah,
right.
Well, it's one of those things to let people in and stuff. It's not really my thing so much, but like Jessica said, people always say, of course, with the 5 kids and how busy we are, how crazy some of us are, that of course it'll be good to watch. So it's been fun and it's been a good ride, and we've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a good outlet.
I think one of the things that I've seen is like when they say opposites attract. It's a few different things where I see where you guys are like, man, it's kind of opposite. I got a clip right here where Jessica talks about how she's like, hey, and with Marcus is like, and slow and steady, keep it even. So everything else. Let me play this clip for you right here.
And then I ended up having to spend the night at his house.
Oh, how'd that go?
Okay,
I'm number one. Right?
First night, number one.
Oh, please. Woo. No, it did not go like that.
My man.
My friend was too drunk to drive me home, and she was also with another person. So it was time to go to bed. All of his rooms are full of crap in his house. And he's like, well, you can sleep in my room. And I'm like, oh God. Okay. Put pillows down the middle, draw a line. And I'm like, do not touch me. And he was like, such a gentleman. He's like, okay. And so then the next morning I woke up, he was already gone, off to practice. Did I brush my teeth with your toothbrush? No, I don't think so.
No, I hope not.
Maybe.
I didn't even know you did.
Right. I don't know. I might have, maybe not.
The disrespect.
Right?
The disrespect.
I think I used his mouthwash. I might not have used his toothbrush because maybe I couldn't find it.
That's too funny.
Definitely used his mouthwash.
Here's the actual clip that I was referring to right here. Let me play. So now you guys get 2 clips in.
Hey.
I like it.
Everything goes your way.
Because there's a lot of people that have, they've been married for 5-6 years and like they don't know how to keep that flame.
Oh, no.
And you guys are really good at keeping that.
Thank you.
That's goals.
And that's my worst nightmare though, is to wake up and be like, or have that feeling towards me. Like, so I know that I work. I want to make sure that I'm giving her everything she needs. So, right. I mean, it's not always physical.
You're so
it's everything else that comes with it too, than just to
ditto. Shall I cry?
She's making fun of me, but I've been working on it all, speaking my feelings, letting it be known, etc. Because going back, I don't really come from that. I didn't really have that training, as I wasn't that type of guy. Is everything keep everything evenly keeled? Everything was sports. Not too high, not too low, and
I could have done your whole line. Not too high, not too low. Keep it like that's literally that's his thing. Yeah. Not too high, not too low. He's always even keeled, and sometimes I need a high. I need you to get pumped, get crunk. One of every kid that we had, yay! Here's your baby. He's like, all right. Right on. And I'm like, dude.
But inside.
Man, Marcus, you must got right, brother. Tell us about it. Is really opposites attract?
I think so. I mean, at least for me, it's just like you saw, man, I'm pretty chill, pretty laid back. And I love everything about the crazy, about the, putting your emotions out there and letting it be known. And I, dream of being like that. I aspire to have some of that in my thing too, but I'm still working on it. But that's why I got this lady to coach me up a little bit.
Did you say you aspire to be crazy?
Aspire to be emotional, to express.
We can't have 2 crazies in the house.
I think you said crazy like you. I think one of the best things though is how open you guys are on those kind of things. Like, hey, we're not perfect and we're trying to do more. It's a lot of people. When I heard you, Marcus, and you were talking about, I wasn't really raised like that. I wasn't really, out with overly emotion. To share that with the public, I think is important. And it gives maybe other couples or people who might be struggling with something like that to be like, man, okay, this is cool. I hear Marcus and Jessica are dealing with the same thing. I say all that to say this: how important is it, couples in general, but also for Black people? You guys are up here. How important is it, or have you found with the feedback and everything, for you guys to be uplifting Black love on the screen and on podcasts?
I think it's very important. Like, Black love, it's a movement. It is. We're here to showcase that Black love is here. It's beautiful. It's happy. It's not perfect, but it is. That's our goal. Black love is everything, and we just want to encourage it, inspire it, and showcase it. Really.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just give people the opportunity to see it in real time. They, you see stuff on social media, or you may know me from sports and stuff like that. But we are regular people doing normal family things with kids, the ups and downs, and you can get through it. And you gotta enjoy the ride, and it all starts with love. You gotta have that foundation, and we just trying to showcase the normalness of our everyday.
Right. And we're Black.
Trey Holiday.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. It's great getting to hear so much about you guys' story. And I really wanted to ask, because I think Omari's been hitting, all the points that I've been thinking about in terms of how important it is to showcase it. But really, there's so many different avenues right now in terms of where people are finding their content. How did you guys settle on, look, we're going to do it this way. We want to produce it this way. I have a production background and my mind goes straight there. So I want to ask more about this partnership. And I love you guys' setting. How did you guys come up with saying, this is how we're going to showcase ourselves to the people?
Yeah, because it looks and sounds great.
It does.
Thank you. Well, we have a very small team helping us that pretty much, it's pretty easy for us. We just come downstairs and we talk, right? So we have a couple of cameras set up, and it is filmed in our home downstairs, and just having the bar open and the bar lit up, that's us. That's who we are. We're just trying to be as authentic as possible. And so we got some mics and some stuff, and it just works.
And we really wanted it to be easy. Like, we just wanted to be able to walk in and go to work and just have fun and not have to worry about, doing all the other stuff that comes with it, clicking on microphones and setting up light and carrying things off the truck and bringing it inside and setting stuff up. Because I've been through that. I've done some radio, I've done some podcasts in the past. And when you got to do it like that, it's hard to get longevity out of it and you burn out pretty quick. But this has been fun, and
we're comfortable too.
Well, I love that too, because it says a lot about you guys' approach in terms of bringing it in your home, making it intimate like that, and bringing the folks in. So, thanks for answering in that way. And also thanks just for putting it out there, because I just want to say for those who love Black love, you can't get enough examples of it. So thank you guys for this work.
Before we go into the programming here real quick, Marcus, a lot of people know you as a former Seahawk, and then you said that you were doing some media stuff and everything else. Jessica, I'm just getting to know you, been checking out a lot of your posts on social media and stuff. But what else are you guys doing? What are you up to? I know you got 5 kids, so even if you did nothing else but run after these 5 kids, but what else are you up to?
Enough 5 kids, enough said, right? What are we up to?
We are up to everything. We have a foundation. Jessica is homeschooling our children, which I wouldn't even call myself an assistant because I can't help that much, but I'm there to support. I'm more of the bus driver, I guess. I take the kids back and forth to different activities and stuff like that, but it's really busy, of course, with the kids, and that's how we like it. Keep them busy, keep them active. They love it as well, or we think they love it, right?
Yeah.
But that, and then switch gears over to the Trufant Family Foundation. We've been in the community for a long time and doing a lot of stuff when it comes to the youth in this community. That's in Tacoma, that's in Seattle, that's a little bit of everywhere. As of late, we've really been focused on the education piece and focusing on the COVID and the relief and all that kind of stuff as far as rent, food and assistance and travel and all that kind of stuff. So it's been busy, and with COVID, things have tried to slow down as far as business, but we know that people still need a lot of help, and there's a lot of people out there that are suffering, especially in our communities.
Right. We're currently trying to come up with a way to do, because we started a Santa breakfast 2 years ago, the Trufant Family Foundation annual Santa breakfast. And unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to cancel it. And so we're in the process now of coming up with some kind of online fundraiser to help bring funds so we can give back to the community and continue to give scholarships, because kids are still going to school. They still need scholarships. So we're in the process of doing that as well.
The work never stops.
It never stops.
It never stops.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you guys know that though, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, one thing I know about the Trufants, one thing I know, and two things for sure, is that you've never stopped working in and for the community. And you guys are one of those silent partners that the community has. And I'm sure of the things that you publicize, there's 10 other things that people will never know about. But just know that the community knows that y'all heart's in the right place. And if there's ever anything that we can do here at Converge to amplify anything that you're doing to help the community, you'll let us know. That being said, all right. So here's what we're doing is, and we just had our series during the elections called Vote Black Love. We was like, man, Democrat, Republican, you'll never go wrong with voting Black love. And so yeah, exactly. And so, we spotlighted married couples as a special kind of question and answer and everything else. And so for us, we're really excited for every Sunday at 8:00 to be airing the episodes of Truly Unruly. And so I got to let the public know, if you want to start from episode 1 and do old school TV like me and Big Mama do, you know what I'm saying? You tune in every Sunday at 8 p.m. and you're starting from episode 1 this Sunday of Truly Unruly. However, if you are a binge watcher, Mr. Trufant, please tell everybody where they can find Truly Unruly.
Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and just look up Truly Unruly, or you can look me up on YouTube. You can go to Marcus Trufant and all the episodes are there. Or you can follow us on IG, Truly Unruly _podcast, and you will be able to see this beautiful young lady's face there. And that's I think that's all the places, right? The Apple, the IG,
Apple, the Spotify,
YouTube. But yeah, man,
and YouTube. The YouTube channel.
Yep, and the YouTube channel. But it's good stuff, man. And I think the people will, I think they're really going to enjoy it because it's just raw and uncut, man. Right. And we just have a good time. And
we're relatable.
Showcasing Black love. Showcasing Black love. So, yeah.
Look at we gotta zoom in on Black love right there. You know what I'm saying? Like pow, all the way in. Oh man, but you got anything, Trey, before we let the Trufants go?
You know what? I just want to say thanks again for, shining the light on Black love and really showcasing a bit of who you guys are. Because I think so many people out there in the public, they get caught up in the celebrityism of it all. And, showcasing that, true people, Black love, and also your contributions to community. So shout out to y'all and thanks for all y'all are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good stuff. So like I said, every Sunday, starting this Sunday right here at 8:00 across all the Converge platforms, Truly Unruly. You can also go and you can binge listen across all the podcasting platforms. Just look up Truly Unruly. You can go to YouTube and put in his YouTube channel, Marcus Trufant. And also go to IG. It's some amazing clips there. Truly Unruly _podcast. And the Marcus and Jessica, again, before we let you go, just want to tell you in the most sincere way, thank you. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for all you continue to do. Thank you for uplifting Black voices. Thank you for uplifting Black love. And man, we are here to support you every step of the way.
Thank you so much. Very much, we brother. Are proud and happy to be doing this and uplifting Black love in our community.
Amen to that. Ooh, hey, don't they look good, Trey? It's like the Trufants is just a whole bag of energy. You know what I'm saying? the Trufants is just super fly. We're gonna take a break right now. When we come back, the morning show continues. Thank you.
We're right here at East Precinct. It doesn't get any closer than this right now.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. As a small independent media company, we rely on the financial support of individuals and business members to stay on the front lines of the news that's important to you. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Man, weren't the Trufants just fantastic?
Amazing, man. That's great. And you know what? Shout out to the partnership that Converge is going to be carrying Truly Unruly on Sundays. That's awesome, man.
Man, I'm not, I'll be around a lot of big time people, athletes and politicians and everything else. The only thing, I'm not a jealous person. The only thing I'm jealous of Marcus Trufant on is, man, you see how his hairline is popping back there? Hey, Marcus, I need some of that, man. But Marcus' hairline, man, I was like, dang.
It's strong, man. It's strong.
It's strong. All right, we got the kiddo in the newsroom. Nikki Barron, what's going on?
A 30-year-old kiddo.
You're 30?
I know. People, seriously.
Okay,
I can't even buy a drink in a bar. People are like, "Are you lying?" I'm like, "I swear."
Man, we're gonna have seen, and now that you said that, we're in Seattle, so now somebody is gonna be against me using the word kiddo, and I'm gonna get all kinds of mail and everything else.
I love it.
But Nikki Barron, we went long with the Trufants, but it was for a good reason. I mean, wasn't that a great interview?
I loved it. It was so good. And I've had a chance to listen to some of the podcasts, so I'm really enjoying it. And I hope everybody tunes in on Sundays. It's really great to watch.
All right. So tell us, I'll let you rank it since we're short on time today. Why don't you hit us with the headlines? What do you got?
Oh, so I didn't have too many headlines, but one that stuck out for me. And you know me, normally I'm looking for something positive to cover, but I needed to cover something really important. And that is COVID is spreading really fast in our community. And officials are very worried that this is going to really take off in the Thanksgiving season. So what we're finding is that it's actually not the places that we're thinking of, big outdoor gatherings that are spreading COVID. It's actually the small, intimate gatherings. So when you're indoors with people that you don't live with, that you don't interface with, think Thanksgiving dinner, birthday celebrations, even if it's just 5 to 10 people, those are actually the main spreading events because people feel comfortable in their homes and around these people. So people aren't masking up. So there's actually some recommendations from the CDC about ways that you can gather safely, and one of those is wearing your mask inside, and then also wearing your mask properly.
Hold on, wearing a mask inside now, huh?
Yes, when you're so if you have a Thanksgiving gathering, wearing your mask except for when you're eating is what they're recommending. If you're going to have anybody who lives in your home over, is that you should wear your mask inside when you're eating, or except for when you're eating. So the other side of that is wearing your mask properly. So I have a nerdy hobby of bowling. And so I've been hitting some bowling alleys in the region. And one thing I noticed is a lot of people aren't wearing their mask correctly. So for the mask to be correct, it needs to cover from the middle of the nose to the bottom of your chin. And it needs to be able to tighten around your ears. And so for me, I wear a little chain on mine because I like to be fancy. So to put it on, you want to make sure it's on all the way. And then it creates a tight seal. See what I'm doing there? Okay. So that is my bad headline, is that it is increasing very quickly. They're even going to be holding an emergency presser this afternoon with the governor because the spread is so fast. Usually the spike happens right before the hospitalization spike happens.
Let me ask you this, and I don't know if you looked into it or not, but as far as where the numbers are coming from, are the numbers, is this increase coming from Martin Luther King County and from Sonoma, or is the spike coming from other counties in the state? Because I'll be honest with you, around King County, you find a lot of people that are wearing the mask and some everything else. You go to some other counties though, and that's not necessarily the case. So is the whole, where are the spikes coming from? Do you know?
So the press release says that the fall surge is actually spreading statewide, with Western Washington, specifically King, Snohomish, and Pierce counties are the hot zones for the disease transmission. Yeah. So a lot of what I'm seeing is people are wearing masks, but they're wearing them incorrectly. So it's down here, or people are wearing them hanging on their ear, or you know what I mean? And I'm like, it's got to be on. It's got to create the seal, and you got to wear it indoors if you're not in your your COVID pod, which should include only people that you live with and people that it's essential for you to interface with. So,
man,
that's
I guess, man, Thanksgiving will never be the same.
I know. So if you can, maybe do a heated cover outdoors to create a better ventilation and cross flow with the air, and then also wear your mask indoors, except for when you're eating. If you plan to have anybody over who is not in your pod, it's the people who are asymptomatic that are really spreading it, and that seems to be increasing asymptomatic transmission. So we want to make sure we stay on top of that. And then something else that's sort of COVID related, that's a headline that I think is really important to cover, and that is open enrollment for the Affordable Care Act, sometimes called Obamacare, is open now until December 15th. And you can get that for Washington at it's www.wahealthplanfinder.org. Sorry about that. Alia just came in. So head over there if you're not insured and make sure that you get signed up. It's super important. We're starting to see things, if you do get COVID, your treatment for COVID is covered. But if you go to the hospital for something else, a lot of hospitals are now charging something called a COVID fee. And it's actually where you're paying for the extra measures that are being taken to keep you safe from COVID. So you want to make sure that that you're getting covered, because unfortunately we live in a society where healthcare is a luxury and not a right. So make sure you go and get signed up for the Affordable Care Act. I was really excited. I signed up. I got a $100 voucher, so my insurance is much more.
So does that mean lunch is on you today then?
No, because my inhaler uninsured is $300 a month. So these past few months since I was laid off from my job where I haven't had health insurance has been pretty expensive. So with insurance, it's $60. Without insurance, it's $300. So definitely make sure that you are getting signed up for the Affordable Care Act. It helps you keep things more affordable, but it also helps if we're all paying into the same system to make it cheaper for those who can't afford it.
Are these people sponsoring this show? Because you're giving them a lot of, you know what I'm saying? We need to send them an advertising package.
It's just something that's really important to me. The health outcomes of the Black and Brown community is super important to me. So anytime I can highlight a way to increase health in our communities, I'm going to do it. So paid or not, maybe they'll give me a flow vent inhaler.
There it is. So let me see here real quick. We got a story that we pushed from the top of the hour, so bottom of the hour. Real interesting story out of Snohomish County. And there was a group of barbers there who wanted to start a program where the Snohomish County Sheriff comes over to the barbershop and they have conversation. And that kind of used to be commonplace back in the day, where you build a relationship with local law enforcement. And the whole point of law enforcement coming to the barbershop is that you're now on community ground, you know what I'm saying? A space where community members feel safe and everything else. This was a segment kind of on King 5 this morning. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Snohomish County leaders are taking up a series of initiatives surrounding social justice and racial inequities tomorrow. One program in particular looks to connect communities of color with sheriff's deputies on neutral ground. King 5's Britt Moore explains some of the controversy behind that new program.
It's an idea to bring the Black community and law enforcement together in order to build trust. These meetings would happen at local barbershops, but some people, including the NAACP, say they're not entirely behind how this program is being rolled out.
It doesn't matter who comes in. Everybody's equal in the barbershop.
3 activists say they've been protesting using music against racial injustice from the rooftop of an apartment building in Marysville for weeks.
Our message is that we are real people. We want change. We are Snohomish County residents. We live here.
They created the Cops and Barbers Initiative as a step to addressing racial inequities within their own community.
It would be the police coming into kind of our territory, coming into the barbershop and being around Black men in their comfort zone and finally just having the talk.
Sheriff Adam Fortney supports the idea, saying, quote, "The leadership, ambition, and dedication I've witnessed from these men and women is going to make Snohomish County safer and a more unified community." The local NAACP sent a scathing letter to the county council rejecting the idea, pushing the council not to fund the initiative, saying the idea that haircuts will lead to social justice borders on the edge of ridiculous and offensive. The council will consider a series of budget tweaks tomorrow, including divvying up $500,000 in funding initially proposed for the Office of Social Justice, instead going to programs like cops and barbers.
I think the funding needs to better support initiatives that are well vetted and led by communities of color and led by our Office of Social Justice, so that we're bringing real reforms and needed reforms and addressing the concerns which have been brought up repeatedly from leaders in the community.
The organizers of Cops and Barbers say, county funding or not, they plan to move forward with this initiative with the community support. They will roll out a small test run by the end of the year. In Everett, Britt Moore, King 5 News.
All right. So this is interesting here. These guys, the barbers, they want to bring the sheriff over there and start having conversations and building relationships. The NAACP up there in Snohomish County is saying, hey, this is a ridiculous way to impact social change. And they're like, yeah, you shouldn't fund it. And the barbers are like, I mean, we're going to do this anyway.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear that the NAACP was against this idea that was built in community, led by community, supported by community, going to happen anyway. So that was a little bit of a shock for me. What do you think, Trey?
Well, the sad part is that there's no major shock here, because unfortunately when money gets involved, you know, it's not about the initiative. It's not about the impact, the community. It's about the money. It's about the funding. It's about the fact that now something is not being funded and that it's going to these newer initiatives that really do seem spooky to a lot of folks, or that seem like, hey, that is not well vetted. That is not something that we know will work or has worked in the past. And so it causes that kind of initial spook. What I love so much about all of this is that the care of these barbers and these people that are putting this together from a community perspective, they don't care about the money. It was about the community having some way to unite and build trust. And I think that, to me, that's what I love the most out of this story. It's unfortunate that the NAACP would try to strike something so beautiful down, because really it's about maybe feeling like this thing won't be funded. And maybe that may be some funding that they were looking to gain. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Sheriff Fortney, his reputation precedes him. So, I mean, to see Sheriff Fortney is on there supportive of this, I think we want to dig deeper into this. Maybe we can get some of the producers on the road up there to Snohomish County and actually talk to these barbers and talk to Sheriff Fortney and talk to the NAACP. It's a real interesting story that seems like it needs a little bit more looking into, as they say. We're going to get out of here. It's 12:02, so we're in overtime right now. So we're going to get out of here. Again, want to thank Fire Chief Scoggins for joining us at the top of the hour, and also want to give a big thanks to the Trufants. I mean, man, like I said, the Trufants, it's a big ball of energy, man, with the Trufants. And catch Truly Unruly this Sunday at 8 p.m. But you can also go right now, put in Truly Unruly across all podcast platforms. You can go to YouTube and put in Marcus Trufant, and the channel will show up right there. And also on Instagram, Truly Unruly _podcast. Before we get out of here, anything from you, Nikki Barron?
Yeah, I wanted to just take a second and thank our Patreon supporters. We've got quite a few this month. I just want to say thanks to Michael Barton, Susan Rosenberg, Ismoon Hunter Morton, James Nodal, Catherine Brookshire, Joanna Cullen, Karen Snyder, Braden Sensed, Ava Black, Jennifer Beadham, Jesse Shank, Irene Torres, who I see in the comments all the time, me, RDZ, Rebecca Leischer, Ariel Brownstein, Jessica and Casey McGill, and Caitlin Wynn. So thank you so much for supporting us. We are viewer supported, and if you can, jump on that Patreon train. We've got some exclusive content coming up, some Q&As. So yeah, as little as $5 a month. And you can be a part of the Converge family. So join us.
There it is. All right, Trey, anything?
Hey,
You good?
I can't top that. No, that's a beautiful note, Nikki. Amazing. Join us.
All right, until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing, dealer than heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.